Alrighty, greetings and salutations everyone. My name is Andrew Kirchhoff and welcome to our Saturday afternoon live stream for week 15 of the 2025 fantasy football season. It's been quite a while since I've live streamed, almost a week's time. I understand without me live streaming the last couple days, I'm sure many of you may have questions, and hopefully the videos I was able to put forth in the last couple of days set you forth in a direction to where everything went well on Thursday. Yes, I've been battling a sickness since last Saturday, probably popped up. Sunday morning was a disaster. But let me tell you what's worse than the sickness that I've had. Whoever's playing against Kyle Pitts this week, I'm sorry, guys. That's horrible. If you've got Kyle Pitts, congratulations. If you played against Kyle Pitts, T's and P's. Your season might be done. Like, unless you've got some sort of trick up your sleeve, unless you've got the GOAT squad across the board, it is just an absolute, I've never seen anything like that in my life. 100 yards, 10 grabs, 3 tutties, 40 fantasy points. That goes down in the history books of the fantasy football playoffs. Let's just put it out there. But either way, I'm back live streaming. I'm here to answer questions, guys. And that's all we're doing today. Just going to quickly get through answering questions. I'll be back tomorrow morning, hopefully for 3 hours. I don't know exactly how long I'll be able to go for, but obviously I'm feeling a lot better than I did earlier this week. And I'm sure you guys can noticeably tell, not only by my voice, but of course, the energy at which I have. So significantly better off than I was, yesterday, much less 3 days before that. Okay. The final thing I wanted to mention before we get into answering questions, do yourself a favor and make sure you include your scoring format within your question. Whether you do include it within a regular chat or whether it's a super chat in order to claim priority, as long as you have your question include your scoring format, all the available necessities in terms of the specification of your question, that is greatly appreciated. It'll make it not only easier for myself but other members of this community to help answer your questions. Okay, so let me go ahead. Let's pop up some super chat questions and let's get into it right away. I greatly appreciate you guys sending those in my direction, and let's get into them, shall we? Okay, now usually on a Saturday morning, I do want to begin by talking about injuries and all that kind of jazz. Don't worry about Christian McCaffrey. I think he'll be fine. Okay, let's just put it that way. I think he'll be just fine. All right, TJ Money 42 says, PPR, Justin Jefferson, Omarion Hampton, Chris Olave, Chuba Hubbard, Brian Robinson. Only in the event in which Christian McCaffrey is out would I ever play Brian Robinson in this circumstance. Otherwise, I am feeling most aligned with the idea of rolling with Chris Olave in this circumstance. Full PPR, I feel like it's either Olave or Justin Jefferson that has to start in my lineup. I think benching Justin Jefferson, it's against my religion first and foremost, and second of all, Chris Olave has an incredible matchup against Carolina, who earlier this season he torched for over 100 in a tutty. Like there's a good chance in which Olave, who was not designated on the report of injury today, at least this week, which was not the case the 2 weeks prior, but has still played well. I think fully healthy, ready to go in an advantageous position against the zone coverage as the zone killer assassin that he is. I'll go with Olave out of that group there. TJ, thanks, man. Ash, what's up? Says, what's up, Andrew? Info in the chat. Sounds good. Says notable players on waivers. We have Jackson Dart, we have Theo Johnson, and we have Chuba Hubbard. Unfortunately, didn't play any Bucks on my team Thursday. Leaning Jennings over Ladd for the stack with Purdy and also Marks. Who would you start this week? Pick up Dart or Theo Johnson? At this point, I don't see why you wouldn't pick up and play Dart. I think him and Purdy are both fantastic. I think that is a perfectly wise move to make into where you can play Jackson Dart against Washington, who couldn't stop anything last week out of a J.J. McCarthy-led offense. I feel like Jackson Dart just has a little bit more potential for upside because of that rushing capability. So I feel like leaning in that direction, really safe. As for, let's see here. What is your... Okay, so here's the thing. You're mentioning Theo Johnson here, but I'm not sure who's your current tight end, unless I've overlooked it here. You said you have Vlad McConkey, also Woody Marks. So, at this point, Woody Marks has to play. When you're playing against Arizona, when Nick Chubb's missed practice for majority of this week, seems like it's going to be another game in which he gets a boatload of opportunity share. So Marks is still in the lineup. I'd still prefer to play Ladd McConkey there. I know obviously he's been dealing with a little bit of an injury there, but it looks like Quentin Johnston may not suit up, which will evidently uptick the overall opportunities that Ladd will be exposed to. So it's a hard decision on defense. Good start versus opponent in playoffs. so far. Bijan versus Irving. Got it. Yeah, look, as of right now, am I picking up Theo Johnson? Just depends on what else you have available. Ah, here it is. Now I see the full context to your question. My apologies there, Ash. So it's a double RB, double wide receiver, double flex, 9 and 5, third place. Okay, looking at the squad as a whole, yeah, I mean, I don't mind the idea of dropping like a Jaden Daniel. Well, I mean, Jaden Daniel's in your IR, so it's kind of irrelevant there. I don't mind the idea of dropping a Baker Mayfield in order to theoretically pick up Jackson Dart and play him this week. So then at that point, you have Jamar Chase at wide receiver. You have Michael Wilson. You've got Bijan, you have Chase Brown, you have Schultz at tight end, which personally, yes, I would feel more comfortable rolling with the combo stack of a Jackson Dart, Theo Johnson, evidently with what you have available at your disposal. And then obviously within the flex position, if I'm going for two options, yes, I think Woody Marks has to start in my flex alongside of him. I would like to prefer, I think I would prefer right now to play Ladd, but in the event in which you were dead set on jetting, so be it. I think they're both great plays. Outside of that, looking across the board, it says holding on to the first waiver priority. If you have to burn a waiver to make this move, it's less enticing, but still I'm willing to do it because I think it gives you the best chance of scoring a higher volume of points this week in comparison to where you're currently at. Thank you, Ash. Appreciate it. All right, continuing on, we had a question that came in from Eric, who says, half PPR, Christian Watson or Ricky Pearsall? It's not really close in my mind. I don't have any trust in Ricky Pearsall. The thing about the fantasy playoffs is that I don't want to get cute with it. I want to play the studs that got me to the dance. And in the case of a Ricky Pearsall, he did nothing to contribute to my team to get me this far. And he has done nothing of late since returning from injury to give me any semblance of confidence that he will be getting a streamlined volume of targets. So I think Christian Watson, even despite the Denver matchup, has to be started in the given week going into our fantasy playoffs. Blaze, what's up? Says 12-team full PPR. 2 wide receivers, 2 flex. Says I need help with the flex positions. We have Fannin, we have DK, we have Diggs, and we have Jacoby Myers. Look, I think you've got great options across the board, genuinely. I think all of these players can be started and probably should be started in this circumstance. As for where I have, let me see where I have Fannin. Because the way that I'm kind of thinking about this, I'm probably in a full PPR scoring format. It becomes a little bit tricky because like Jacoby Myers is a touchdown hound. And I feel like against the Jets, with the potential of them probably scoring 35 points against that defense, if not more, I feel like a touchdown could be attributed there. I feel like there's a pretty good target share of opportunity going towards Fannin to where if they throw the ball 40 times, at least 10 targets goes in his direction. DK Metcalf's coming off of the best game of his season thus far. I mean, in terms of opportunity share, in terms of receptions, those are all very promising. And then Diggs has a revenge game. So they're genuinely all really good players here. If I go to my full PPR ranks, the way that I currently have it set up, where's DK though? There you go. Okay, so my top 2 options of your availables, excuse me, technically end up probably being DK and Jacoby. Yeah, DK and Jacoby would probably be my 1-2. Number 3 would be Fan, and number 4 would be Diggs. Thank you. Billy Bishop Nelson sends in a question. Billy, thank you. Says, I need 3. Waddle, T-Mac, Monungai, Devin Neal, Rico Dowdle, half PPR. Thank you. Look, as of right now, my 3 highest ranked of the bunch would be Waddle, T-Mac, and Devin Neal. Those are the 3 highest that I currently have. Thank you. All right, let's see here. Silly sends in a question. Says full PPR. Pick a flex between Michael Wilson, Harold Fannin, Deebo Samuel, and RJ Harvey. In a full PPR scoring format, I think it's either between Michael Wilson or RJ Harvey in this circumstance. I don't think I can justify playing either of the other 2 options here in this circumstance. The only concern I have is, can Michael Wilson deliver even against Houston? That secondary, those cornerbacks, those safeties, they have been balling. So it makes me a little bit sketched out about the potential of benching someone like an RJ Harvey in this circumstance. But I mean, sometimes you gotta have to make you have to take some risks. And in this case, I do have Michael Wilson ranked ahead of Harvey in a full PPR. I think he'll still be fine because I would assume he's going to get a pretty good contribution of opportunity, directed towards him to where he'll make do with it. So personally, I probably just in a full PPR roll Michael Wilson. If you're a little bit sketched out about the Houston matchup, no question about it. Just play Harvey because he's a top 25 player this week minimum. Actually, since there's no Bucky, since there's no Bijan in terms of flex, I mean, genuinely, yeah, he's probably top 20. All right, Rob Monahan sends in a question. Rob, thank you. Says, in a full PPR, pick 2 between Michael Wilson, Christian Watson, Cortland Sutton. Should I sit Wilson against the Texans? I mean, genuinely at this point, I have a hard time doing it. I see all the detractors towards potentially starting him, and I can make the argument against him. But even still within that, the opportunity which he's being, attributed in terms of targets is far too many for me to pass up on the opportunity of playing him this week, even in a difficult matchup in an elite defense as such with the Texans. In regards to playing 2 of these available options, I'd probably feel most comfortable rolling with Michael Wilson and Christian Watson in this case. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Says, thank you for getting me to the playoffs. Feels better. Feel better, birthday boy. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. All right, Nicholas sends in a question. Nicholas, thank you. Scrolling back up slowly but surely to catch up to Nicholas's question. Says, pick 2.5 PPR. We have Hunt, Cora, Monungai, and Pearsall. Of those available options, I would probably lean towards playing Monungai and Kareem Hunt. I think Pearsall, again, very difficult to trust in this circumstance. I think Corum, again, is very much so gaining momentum this most recent week, obviously speaking to said momentum, but the reality is, can we anticipate for the Rams to be running the ball at a high enough volume if they're not outright blowing out the Lions, right? So is there going to be enough for Corum in the absence of a touchdown to where we can justify it? As of this moment, I would rather play Hunt and Monungai, who are both touchdown fiends themselves, at a far more consistent rate, of course. Blazin 540 says, I need upside. After Bucky got tucked, he got absolutely Trey Tuckered on Thursday. We have Lamar or Burrow. Honestly, I think both of them have very similar floors and ceilings of potential. Personally, if you asked me, I have a singular bias. I probably prefer Joe Burrow over almost every fantasy quarterback. There's just something about Joe Burrow, and I just have, maybe it's more of like a personal bias. It's not really a fantasy bias. There's something about Joe Burrow that I feel like if I have him in my lineup, I feel like he'll just score 25 fantasy points. I don't know what it is. It's like one of those infinity stones for me. So in the case of going those two, biasly, I may tell you to play Burrow, but my rankings is going to say Lamar. As for tight end, Tyler Warren, Kincaid, likely. That's an interesting one. The question just really revolves around, do you want to trust Phillip Rivers on Sunday? And I'm going to gamble it, guys. I'll play Tyler Warren there. That's fine by me. In the event in which you're not comfortable doing so, I think what Kincaid and likely have done lately is enough to where you can justify playing both of those options. I have them both additionally ranked in the top 10 of my tight end rankings. Likely ahead of Kincaid, though. Excuse me. And then Justin Jefferson, Adunze, and Burden. I really can't justify playing Adunze or Burden in the fantasy playoffs. I'll just roll JJ and let it go do or die, by my first round pick. So for now, Burrow, Tyler Warren, JJ, I'm rolling it. Stormtrooper, what's up? Stormtrooper says the following. Says, hello. I need a running back and a tight end, a wide receiver, and a full PPR. I have Tyler Warren. Oh, sorry, no, it's Jay Warren. I have Jalen Warren, Kenneth Walker, Chuba Hubbard. Okay, so the first and foremost, let's talk about the running back position. I think Jalen Warren should be started. Moving on to the next conversation here. You have Wilson, Sutton, Pickens, Pittman. Well, that's an easy one. I have Pickens in my lineup, and that is probably going to be starting there at wide receiver. And then you have Gesicki, Tyler Warren, Parkinson. And then as for those available options, I'm going to go with Tyler Warren. And then between Hurts and Mariota, I'll take Jalen Hurts there against the Raiders. The only thing we're missing is a flex. Cool. If we needed to play a flex out of these available options, I am playing Michael Wilson in this circumstance. Thank you, Stormtrooper. Appreciate it, my man. Alrighty, continuing on. Hope you guys are doing well on this wonderful Saturday. Yes, I am doing a lot better than earlier this week. Of course, this is probably going to still be a short live stream. As soon as I get into answering all these kind of questions as quickly as I possibly can, I'll probably just head out there. But I do appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. Again, I'll be back tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. But again, this live stream has only been around for, how long have we been live for? 18 minutes. I'll probably be here for another 45 minutes minimum. So I'm saying yes, the stream will eventually end. Just don't expect it to be a 2-hour live stream as I'm still recovering and not 100% healthy. Thank you. Okay, continuing on, we had Brett, who says in a half PPR, Dart or Lamar. Is it a wash? Is it a wash? I mean, look, at this point, I could argue playing Dart over Lamar. I could. Personally, can I justify it? Yeah, I could. Am I going to tell you to start him? I'm going to have Lamar ranked higher tomorrow. Can I justify and can I project Dart to score more points? Yes, if I start tweaking numbers here or there. But it's just the backfield of the Giants that kind of puts it into question. Like, can Singletary and Tracy yoink enough workload to where Dart's rushing upside isn't as viable? That's my only scare there. So I'll still go with Lamar. Kelsey, Warren are likely. Yeah, I'll take Travis Kelsey there against the Chargers. Thank you. All right, moving on to Sam Bam, who says, standard scoring, pick one for the flex, Monungai, Michael Wilson, or Singletary. Standard scoring where you get 0 points per reception. I feel like at that point, I'm obliged to play Kyle Monungai against the Cleveland Browns. They got absolutely just taken to the shed by Tony Pollard. So yeah, I'll take Monungai in that circumstance. And then we have also Philly defense. Sorry, not Philly. Finn's defense versus the Steelers, or Pat's defense versus the Bills. Okay, I'd rather play the Finns defense versus the Steelers and then replace Jacobs with who if he's out. In the event in which Jacobs is out, you would go to his immediate handcuff, technically Emmanuel Wilson, but he did pop up earlier today with an illness. But even in the event in which Jacobs was to be out, if Wilson's not available, then it goes to Brooks. Otherwise, it is going to be Emmanuel Wilson in his absence like we've seen earlier this year. Thank you. Alejo sends in a question. What's up, brother? Says full PPR, Christian McCaffrey added to the injury report today. Questionable with a back injury. Yep. Plays in the evening games. Other RBs are on bench this afternoon. Okay. Do I stick with Christian McCaffrey or use one of those? Yeah, you have to play Christian McCaffrey. So look, here's the reality of the current situation. Earlier today, the report was displayed. Christian McCaffrey, questionable back. By legality's sake, for the National Football League, each team is obliged to have to relay any sort of injury information or news to the NFL. It has to be made public. So I think this is more of a precautionary measure to where they didn't want him to, or they didn't want to get in trouble and be fined or lose any draft picks because they didn't report it. Outside of that report, about 5 minutes after, another report came out saying that Christian McCaffrey is good to go for Sunday. So this is just the Christian McCaffrey PTSD that many of us may be having. Expect for him to play on Sunday. All right, Zobu, what's up? Says Andrew, sit one, full PPR, Christian McCaffrey, Marks, Dowdle, and Neal. Also, okay, Schultz or Strange. If I'm sitting one between these two tight ends, I'd rather sit Schultz. I'd rather play Strange against the Jets. If I'm sitting Christian McCaffrey, Dowdle, or Neal, I'm sitting Dowdle. I don't really want to have to deal with Dowdle versus Chuba Hubbard. I'll just take Christian McCaffrey, Dart, and Neal into the fray. I'll battle with those three in my lineup. Luis Perez says full PPR: Slayton, Burden, Reed, Booty. As of those available options, I feel like your best is Darius Slayton. As of right now, in a full PPR, as the week has progressed, I do feel like he is the best option. Next best in that position would probably end up being, now that Rome Odunze is expected to play, I would go Jaden Reed second, then Booty third, then Burden fourth. Says versus Pitts on his bench. Oh my gosh, brother. Did you absolutely yoink a victory this week, huh? How about that? Alucard sends out a question, says half PPR, 2 running backs. We have Javonte Williams, Henderson, Tracy, Neal, and Hampton. Yeah, I think the top 2 names that you mentioned are your appropriate plays there. Henderson versus the Bills and Javonte versus that Minnesota run-stop defense that has not been quite efficient of late. I think those are the 2 most appropriate plays for your roster, Alucard. Thank you. Kaizen sends out a question, says full PPR flex, RJ, Tetaroa, Judkins. Also, Waddle or Tet. Okay, so first and foremost, Waddle or Tet, I'd rather have Waddle in this circumstance, especially if we may see a negative script. But again, HN is expected to play on Monday, so all systems should be go for the Dolphins offense. And I think the running game obviously will open up more play action opportunity for Waddle. Now, in the case of an RJ, Judkins, Tet, I'm going to go RJ there. 19 points back-to-back weeks. The Green Bay Packers run-stop defense has been a little bit lackluster of late. Yes, they've been winning games, but they still have had a very difficult time stopping the run. They're a slow, methodical offense that'll leave an opportunity for Denver to stay in that game. Judkins, again, even though he has had a little bit, advantageous matchups of late, The injuries to Conklin and Teller, the right side of his offensive line being out, has been incredibly substantial to his lack of production. So, yeah, RJ's got to be the start there. And then Waddle over tap. Thank you. Chris Moraga, what's up, brother? Says PPR flex, Jaden Higgins. Was this Burden? We have Pollard, we have Corum. Okay, look, I mean, of these availables in a full PPR, I feel like if I have to flex one, I think I have to play Pollard in this circumstance. Yeah. If it's me, I don't really trust Stroud enough to where, like, this is a guarantee. I want to hope that Higgins plays well. I mean, the volume of injuries the Arizona Cardinals have speaks to the potential of Higgins, but anybody can score because Stroud just really hasn't funneled anybody outside of specifically Nico Collins in a consecutive manner in the last 2 weeks here. So as of right now, I probably just end up rolling with Pollard there and hoping the momentum from last week carries on. Jeremy Torres says, the question is the second question in the chat. Okay, perfect. Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. I only see one question in the chat, which is this one. So hopefully this is it for you, brother. Says, I need to start 2 running backs and 1 tight end. In a full PPR, we have Breece Hall, RJ Harvey, Devin Neal, Kenneth Walker. Perfect. I'm playing RJ Harvey and Devin Neal very happily. And then it says, for my tight end, I have Mark Andrews and Theo Johnson. Yeah, I'm going to play Mark Andrews there. I don't think this is actually quite difficult. I understand that in fantasy football, nothing's ever too obvious. But in my position here, looking at the production and opportunity share that RJ Harvey's been, specifically exposed to of late, far too opportune. And then Devin Neal, of course, in the absence of Alvin Kamara, in an advantageous matchup is Carolina. Another big week should be ahead. Don't really trust Breece Hall with a third-string quarterback. Kenneth Walker doesn't score touchdowns. And in between Mark Andrews and Theo Johnson, I would much rather still play the tight end number 2 against the Bengals than the number 1 tight end against the Washington Commanders, even though it is a very advantageous matchup. Thank you. All right, Joel Garza says, in the chat, brother, thank you very much. Says, must win, brother. Everybody's in a must win. Don't even get it twisted. I'm already down 45 because of Pitts. Shaking my head. Do you bench Brissett going against the Texans? Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, again, yesterday I posted my tight end and quarterback rankings. I did not have Brissett ranked in my top 16. I have no interest in playing him. Of your available options, I'd go with Mariota number 1 and Caleb Williams number 2. Maybe Rodgers 3, then McCarthy 4. But yeah, Mariota would be my number 1 option of your availables here going into the week in comparison to a Brissett. Thank you. Appreciate it. All right, Dong, what's up? Says, full PPR, pick 2 between Swift, Pittman, Neal. Need upside. Neal has to play. Then after that, I think I have to play Swift. I don't know if I can outright blindly trust Phillip Rivers to get the job done with Pittman. I know back in his rookie year with Pittman, they had a pretty solid connection there. But ultimately, I think Neal and Swift would be your most appropriate duo play out of the 3. Ignacio sends in a question. Thank you very much, brother. Says, hello. I need a quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, in a flex, and a tight end. We have Lamar and Trevor Lawrence. I'm going Lamar there. Running backs are Josh Jacobs. Let's hope he's healthy tomorrow. Then we have Dowdle, Woody Marks, Emmanuel Wilson. Play Marks alongside of him. Then we have Flowers, Olave, and Collins. I'll play Olave and Collins as my wide receiver 1 and 2. Looking towards the tight end position, we have Waller and Likely. Got to play Likely there, 100%. And then in regards to the final position for the flex, of these options available, if we are in a full PPR, good to know, good to know. It's either Flowers or it's either Dowdle. I don't love the matchup for Flowers against Cincy. Not one bit. I think I probably just play Dowdle in that case, in your flex. Thank you. Aaron sends in a question. Says, in a full PPR, flex JMO or Michael Wilson for highest upside. I think I have to play JMO. I think when it comes to opportunity, in terms of like who's going to get more potential targets, I think it's probably still in the direction of Michael Wilson, but I think the competition and then the quality of some of those targets will be a little bit more enhanced on the side of a JMO potential shootout matchup against the Rams. So I'm a little bit more inclined to lean towards the Rams versus Lions matchup in this case. So I'll take JMO there. Again, sitting Michael Wilson never feels good, but against Houston, that's the only time we'll ever have any sort of hesitation in doing so in the absence of a Marvin Harrison. Stormtrooper says, restructured my question. Sorry. Okay, no problem, man. Says, I need an art. Yeah, I mean, look, I already took care of that. You're good to go, brother. Again, I'm pretty sure you saw what I specifically answered, but I'll answer it again. It was Warren, and then it was in Jalen Warren. I went Michael Wilson, Then I went Tyler Warren, and then I went with Hurts. Yeah, we're good to go there, brother. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Marvin Lewis, what's up? Says I played Pitts, laughing emoji, but I didn't play Evans. That's okay. Look, at least you were able to get a 40-point advantage just already off the week. Anyway, with your best guess, do you think London plays next week? I mean, the fact that they didn't put him on the season-ending injured reserve leads me to believe that there's still an open opportunity and chance. As of right now, the only thing that may give me a little bit of... Let me just check this out real quick so we're all on the same page. So as of this moment, he has about 866 receiving yards. There's still a chance for him to surpass 1,000 receiving yards, which I'm sure he wants to try to accomplish this year if he possibly can, because it'll make his contract extension a little bit more potentially enticing after this year. So in the case of that, I think there's a chance. So I wouldn't count him out. It says I would love to have him and Evans if I advance. Yeah, you should be able to advance. And Evans, my goodness, guys. I thought he was going to come away with like a solid game of... I mentioned it on Thursday for my wide receiver video. I was like, all we need is like 4 catches, 40, and a touchdown. Brother came out with 130-something yards. Like, holy moly. Anyway, thank you very much, Marvin. S-Box says, PPR, thanks for helping me get to the playoffs. I need 2 running backs and 2 flex. We have Genty, we have Walker, we have Monungai, Neal, Watson, Kincaid, and Franklin. Okay, the 2 running backs that I would roll with this week are going to be Genty and Neal. That's my 1-2 combo. And then within my flex position, I'd feel most comfortable probably rolling with... I'd probably go Kincaid and Watson there. Thank you. All right, Mr. Hockey Man sent in a question. I somehow scrolled over it. There it is. Mr. Hockey Man says, in a full PPR, I need one between Monungai, Hampton, and Pittman Jr. Of these available, I feel genuinely, I feel most comfortable rolling with Monungai. I don't like the matchup for Hampton at all, especially with the split with Vidal. And I don't like the idea of having to roll with a... in the case of a Kyle Pitts, in the case of a Tyler Warren, I was thinking tight end. In the case of a tight end that can find success in an offense with a lackluster quarterback potentially here in the form of Phillip Rivers, like I can live with Tyler Warren because tight ends don't gather too many yards anyway, right? They're always capped at a specific level. So in the case of a Pittman Jr., I think the drop-off of what his normal production was and what it'll look like going forward will be substantial enough to where I think Monungai is the play there. The Hawk fan says, Phillip Rivers or Brady Cook? I already have it ranked. I have Phillip Rivers ahead of him, genuinely. So yes, I will take Phillip Rivers at that point. Excuse me. Faced Pitts in a full PPR says, BP, and he says, I need upside in my second flex. We have Fannin, Neal, Rome, or Burden, Corum, or Wright. If no Achane. Achane's going to play. Worried about the weather with Fannin. Yeah, look, the weather this weekend is some of the coldest games that we've seen in quite some time for the NFL. Now, it's just cold. I don't know if it's not a snow that is going to be impacting these games. So the only game in which there's a chance of potential rain is Seattle. And outside of that, everything is clear skies or just partly cloudy to the point to where it's just only going to be cold. Like tomorrow morning's games in Chicago, 10 degrees Fahrenheit. Bengals game, 14 degrees. Chiefs game, 17 degrees. Patriots, 30 degrees. Giants, 28 degrees. Eagles, 28 degrees. And everything's outdoors. So ultimately, yeah, they're going to be freezing games, but am I worried about Fannin because of that? Not entirely. I don't know if that is the deciding factor in my perspective to where like that is the reason why I don't play him. So personally, between those available options you have, let me just pull this up. Okay, we have Harold Fannin. We have Devin. I'm going to probably go Neal in this case. Yeah, I'll take Neal. Thank you. Alrighty, continuing on with Kaiser81, who says, hope you get better. Since it's your birthday, thanks very much. I appreciate that. Questions in the chat. All right, says, in a full PPR 10-team league, we got Mahomes and Dart. I'll take Dart there. Says, I have Derrick Henry, Judkins, Etienne. I'll take Henry and Etienne as my RBs. Then we have Sutton, T. Higgins, BTJ, CeeDee Lamb, Pickens. I'll take CeeDee Lamb and Pickens as my wide receiver 1 and 2. Kincaid's my tight end. Great. And then if I need a flex of these available options that you have, I'm very much so highly considering rolling Judkins there. Says, would you start Mahomes over Dart? No, I'd go Dart there. Also, start the 49ers or Jaguars defense. Let me check my rankings right now. as of right now, I would rather have the Jaguars defense considering the third string quarterback for the Jets. So the last question starts Sutton or BTJ. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd probably rather have Sutton, especially considering BTJ has to compete with not only Jacoby Myers, Brenton Strange, but also Parker Washington now. So I think there's just a little bit too much competition within that. Too many cooks in the kitchen right now. James King 4577 says salutations. In a full PPR, we have Hampton, Neal, Dowdle. Pick two. I'd rather play Dowdle and Neal out of that group. It says Burden or Shakir. I'd rather play Shakir. Ladd, Michael Wilson, or BTJ. I'd rather play Michael Wilson. Schultz or Likely. I'd rather play Likely. Thank you very much, James. Appreciate it. Dark City says start Jacksonville or Seattle. Seattle's my number one defense of the week. So the way I currently have it, guys, from Thursday's ranking was Seattle, Houston, Jacksonville, Philly, San Francisco, Chicago as my top 6 defenses. So I don't see that that's going to change. I don't think that there's anything that is foreseeably happened that will change that ranking. Perhaps I move the Jaguars ahead of the Texans, but ultimately I feel like the Seattle Seahawks against Phillip Rivers, kind of an auto start there, but I think in the case in which you were worried about it, you think somehow the Colts could win, which, hey, listen, I will say, if any organization can come out and win in the most absolutely egregious way, it is the Colts. You guys remember a couple years back when they fired Frank Reich and then they hired Jeff Saturday to be the head coach and then they beat the Raiders? Yeah. Off of having an offensive coordinator who had never called plays, who was an offensive quality control guy. Yeah. The Colts can win any game. In their franchise history, they have some crazy ones. So, wouldn't surprise me, but in this case, I still have Seattle as my number one. Don Ray, what's up? Half PPR flex, Ladd, Judy, Gainwell. Yeah, I have to play Ladd in this case. Looking at the overall practice report / injury report for the Los Angeles Chargers, again, I mentioned it earlier, Quentin Johnston is dealing with a groin injury. He did not practice all week long. There is a very high likelihood in which he does end up missing. So in the event in which that is the case, I'd feel relatively solid about the opportunity for someone like Ladd McConkey, who is no longer designated on the injury report as of Friday. He was wiped off the injury report. No questionable tag, nothing. I feel like Ladd is the play there in that circumstance. Apologies for coughing. All right, Grant sends in a question. So I hate having to do this, especially in the playoffs, which is starting Woody, Collins, McBride, and Wilson, 4 players in the same game. What do you think? I love it. Genuinely, I do. Because look, I think in their own right, where I have them ranked, they're all individually incredibly valuable. So the fact that you have to play them all, yes, they're all in one game, and the game ending 8-0 could be a disaster for us, but it's probably not going to go down like that. So I honestly like all 4 of these players a lot. Jack sends in a question, says, not worried about Christian Watson potentially drawing Surtain. Look, I would anticipate that, again, there is always an opportunity of that. But I was worried 2 weeks ago of Terry McLaurin drawing Surtain. And what did Terry McLaurin do 2 weeks ago? He absolutely fucking torched him. I couldn't believe it. I genuinely, my eyes had never seen something like that, to where I was so confident in Surtain and then he was just a human. So, no, I'm not too worried about it. Again, I'm going to adjust my rankings, and they have already been adjusted based on what I posted on Thursday to kind of take that into account. But am I trusting Sutton over him? Even with Pat Bryant out, I don't think that makes much of a difference. I don't think Pat Bryant's opportunity share gets immediately spilled into the Sutton potential kind of workflow. Young Berg sends in a question, says full PPR 6 point per touchdown. Flex Genty, Wilson. Okay, real quick. If it's Genty or Michael Wilson, I'd rather play Michael Wilson. Next question, Purdy or Dart? I'd rather play Dart. Ferguson or Gesicki or Waller? I'd rather play Ferguson. Says I'm leaning Gesicki with T out. I could understand that personally. I just can't do it. IDPs, I don't play in an IDP league, so I don't know what Cedric Gray or Schweringer do. So couldn't help you on the last part, but my other 3, more than happy to help with. Young, thank you. Alex Ongrass says in a non-PPR, start Jacobs, Emmanuel Wilson, Walker, or Brooks. Yeah, Jacobs has to play. Again, if he's active tomorrow, he's in my lineup. Otherwise, you pivot down to probably playing Emmanuel Wilson. Full PPR running backs, start 2 between Marks, Henderson, Cook, and Neal. My 2 highest ranked as of right now is Woody Marks and James Cook. And then we have Likely, Strange, or Juwan Johnson. I have Likely as my highest ranked of the group. Debo, Reed, or Yoshibas. I'll take Debo there. Kaizen says, you'd start RJ over Judkins with Sampson and Ford out. Yes, I would. Again, the offensive line issues is a problem, and it's nothing that I am excited about. Having Wyatt Teller, which, again, that's a former all-pro offensive guard, and Franklin, which is a former Pro Bowl offensive tackle, being out, it was very evident last week at the lack of a potential running game from them, even against the Tennessee Titans. So that in itself already scares me. I think RJ Harvey's receiving workload and his goal line guaranteed workload is just far too valuable to pass up on. Demont Smith sends in a question. Thank you very much, sir. I appreciate it. It says full PPR, Dak or Burrow? I have Dak ranked higher. I'll still go in that direction. Purdy or Dart? I'll go Dart there. Thank you. Mr. Songgrass sends in a follow-up. Says Dowdle, Walker, JJ, or Sutton, non-PPR. I'll take Dowdle there in a non-PPR. The 6 point per passing touchdown. Start two between Burrow, May, and Dak. I'll take Burrow and Dak as my top two options. Think Chris Brooks is a good flex if Jacobs and Wilson sit? Absolutely. Jacobs is actually probably a top 20 running back minimum if, in fact, both those RBs are out this week. Thank you. Appreciate the clarification on that. All right. Threads of Time sends in a question. Says full PPR starting Fandon at tight end, Kincaid, Sutton, or Kelsey in the flex. I'd probably play Kelsey there. Thank you. VW Beetle said, how's it going, Andrew? Full PPR. Would you start Warren or Likely or Henry? Out of those available options, I have Warren one spot ahead of Likely. So that's probably the two that I would feel most comfortable rolling with. If you don't feel comfortable with Phillip Rivers, just play Isaiah Likely there. And my flex spot, should it go to Tedero, McMillan, or Tracy? Thanks. In a full PPR, I'd feel pretty comfortable rolling with Tedero and McMillan there this week. Thank you. Devo says, hey, would you play Goff over Mahomes? That's an interesting one. Mahomes' offensive line, guys, not looking healthy this week again. Left tackle's out again. Obviously, he's out for the season. And then the right side of the offensive line looks like both of those guys are probably going to be out again as well. To which it makes me think, unless Mahomes starts doing some crazy business, it's going to be a tough week on hand. I don't mind the idea of playing Goff over Mahomes, genuinely. I don't mind that. If you feel confident in that, Devo, I'm all with you. I'm willing to go down that path. All right, BB10 sends in a question. This is Bossa B. What's up? Says standard. Need a running back. Rico, Jalen Warren, or Monungai. As of those available, Jalen Warren's my highest ranked. And should any remaining RBs be flexed over A.J. Brown? No. A.J. Brown should start in your flex against the Raiders. Need a tight end between Strange or Tyler Warren? I have Tyler Warren ranked higher. Herbert or Mariota? I'd rather play Mariota. Thank you. Brett sends in a question. Says JSN, A.J. Brown, Jamison Williams, flex the third, or flex Neal / Chuba. Nope. I'd rather play all three of those wide receivers over Neal or Chuba. Thank you. T Cook NFL sends in a question. Says start two. Christian Watson versus Denver, Jacoby Myers versus the New York Jets, Devontae Smith versus the Raiders, or DK Metcalf versus Miami. I will go with Jacoby Myers and DK Metcalf as my number 1 and 2 option there this week. Thank you very much, Cook. Appreciate it. Chris, 31, says, what's up, Andrew? Questions in the chat. Thank you very much, Chris. Appreciate it. Says full PPR. I have Cook, Kyron, Chase, Rice, Kelsey, Wilson in the flex. Debating over Mahomes or Purdy. Let me think here. If Cook, Kyron, Chase, Rice, Kelsey, Wilson, my goodness. Debating over Mahomes or Purdy. Yeah, look, with the information that is now available as of the end of yesterday's practice reports and the fact that, again, the offensive line for Patrick Mahomes is going to be in shambles, I'm a little bit concerned about the potential of playing him even against the Chargers. So, personally, I'm okay going Purdy there. I'm very comfortable with that. Says, also, would you play Genty or Dowdle in the flex over Wilson? No, I'd still play Wilson there in a full PPR. Thank you. Juan Sardina sends in a question. Says, I need one running back, 2 wide receivers, and 2 flex. We have James Cook, ETN, Flowers, Jamison Williams, CeeDee Lamb, Waddle, Monungai. Okay, in my opinion, I think ETN has to play at RB. In your wide receiver position, I believe CeeDee Lamb and Jamison Williams is your 2 best options. To which then in your flex, you play James Cook and you play Waddle. Those are your 5 best players. Thank you. Dro, what's up? Says non-PPR, I've got CD, Dak or Purdy. I'd rather play Dak. Wide receiver 1, Olave, Tet, or Waddle. Oof, brother, that's a close one. I think I have to play Waddle in this circumstance. Yeah, it's Waddle 1, Olave 2, Tedero at 3. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay. We have effectively caught up with these questions. I do appreciate y'all being patient with myself. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I kind of want to keep this a relatively live or a short live stream just so I can quickly get into answering questions and then, of course, prepare for tomorrow's live stream that we'll be conducting tomorrow morning. Probably we'll be doing that for 3 straight hours from 7 to 10 a.m. PST. Again, I'll probably continue to answer some of these super chats that are sent in. I'll check out a couple of the live chat questions some of you may have, and then we'll probably head out from there. I do appreciate y'all coming through, of course. Again, like I mentioned before, if you guys don't want or don't have the time to potentially wait for these questions to be answered, you can always check out the Patreon. There's a link down in the description to get my rankings every Thursday and Sunday for the remainder of the season. Or, of course, you can check out the Betr sign up, in which, of course, we're putting together plays every single week. I included some plays yesterday at the end of the episode in regards to potentially putting together plays for the weekend slate of games. So if you want my rankings, all you have to do is sign up using code Andrew, make a first-time deposit minimum of $10, and make a first-time play picking more or less on 2-player statistics. Do that before tomorrow, and I'll send you that email prior to the Sunday morning slate of games to help you set your lineup. Thank you. Okay, PKMN sends in a question. Says, desperately need help in the flex. Full PPR starting Kittle at tight end. Already do... Okay, so... starting Kittle and tight end already. Do I flex Reed, Likely, or Monangai? Sorry about that. Reed, Likely, or Monangai? That's a really tough one. Is there a full PPR? It is. Okay, cool. Okay, so here's the sketchiness about that question. I don't mind playing either. I mean, like, I think all three can be viable. Personally, I'd feel most comfortable genuinely rolling with Isaiah Likely. And then your final question, it says, I have JSN and Puka, a wide receiver, Henry, JT at running back. Yeah, I think at this point, genuinely, I'd feel most comfortable rolling Likely in a full PPR. Had it been a half PPR, I'd tell you to play Monangai. Dylan sends in a question. It says, Ladd, Terry McLaurin, or Rico Dowdle in the flex. I'd feel most comfortable rolling with Terry McLaurin there. Also torn between Dart and Burrow. Yeah, so am I. I'll have that designation by tomorrow's rankings. My top 16 tight end quarterback rankings will be on screen tomorrow. I personally have to make that decision as well within one of my main leagues. So I'm going back and forth. As of right now, I have Dart in my lineup, but I've always got that bias towards Burrow. So I just don't want to over accentuate that bias and then have that be my downfall. So for right now, I'll still lean toward Dart at this moment. All right, let's see here. We had SR20 Mar, who says, I have T-Mac, Devontae Smith, Michael Wilson, Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Tyler Warren, Harold Fannin. I need one wide receiver, one tight end, and one flex. Thank you. Okay, so of these available options that you have here, I think your tight end play should be Harold Fannin. I think your wide receiver play should be Michael Wilson. And in the flex position, assuming this is a full PPR, I would play Tedderell McMillan. In the event in which it's a standard league or a half PPR league, at that point, maybe we just go with Rico. Thank you. Okay, PKMN says, might be worth noting Love at QB for stack with Reed. I mean, I guess if you feel really confident with Reed, I know his most recent week opportunity share in terms of rushing attempts and receiving work is very promising. I think he's 100% contingent on he has to score a touchdown. Otherwise, in comparison to Likely, taking on that Cincinnati defense that can't stop a soul in the tight end game, that just got torched last week by not only Kincaid, but also Dawson Knox, I feel like it's just an auto start there anytime you have an opportunity. Mr. Hockeyman says, I'm glad you're feeling better. Questions in the chat. Thank you, man. Says, confidence in either Jacob/Emmanuel Wilson playing. Yeah, I'm very confident that Jacobs plays. Or should I just play it safe and start Judkins in the early slate? I'm very confident that Jacobs plays. Again, over the course of this season, what has it only been once that he has sat out? But even in that game in which he sat out, Emmanuel Wilson went for 25 fantasy points. So as long as you have both of them available to you and at your disposal, you should try to commit to try and play one of those two, because we know how valuable the backfield of the Green Bay Packers is, as they are favorites on the road in Denver this week. Auntie Slayer says, happy birthday. Glad you're back. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Any question? Nothing? All right, cool, my man. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Dylan Lang, 769, says, 2 flex pick, full PPR, Rico, Tetaroa, Jalen Warren, DK Metcalf, Gainwell. In a full PPR, I will legitimately play Tetaroa and DK Metcalf. I'll take both wide receivers in this case. Thank you, man. All right, let's see what the live chat has to say here. Let me go ahead and let's hit that up real quick, and let's see what you guys have. Dart over Allen. Nope, I'm playing Josh Allen there. Hidden gems this week. No, sir. Unfortunately, not the case. I don't think this is a week in which we need to get cute with it. I've been mentioning it earlier. When we go into the fantasy playoffs, can't play any of the cute games. Got to play our studs and let it roll. Gesicki or Likely. I prefer to play Likely there. Marks or McMillan, full PPR. I'd rather play Woody Marks there. Played Pitts, got 45 in a full PPR, but I don't want to get too comfortable. Please pick 2 quarterbacks between Dart, Dak, Darnold, and Burrow. I'd play, if it's probably me, I go Dak and Dart. Also, 1 running back between Neil, Hampton, Rico, and Tracy. I'll take Neil there. Thanks, man. Appreciate it. You should be in a good spot. Don't worry about it. Alrighty. Ladd or Rodriguez? Yeah, I'm just going to play Ladd in that case. I don't know. Rodriguez is so tough. If he scores a touchdown, we're in business. Otherwise, we're in trouble. Okay, Medina, what's up, man? Whenever you get a chance, type it in the chat. Again, guys, like I mentioned earlier, I want to keep this a short stream, so I'll probably go ahead and I'll probably head out in about 5 minutes here. I do appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. I'll be back tomorrow morning, live streaming here on the channel with updated rankings, all that kind of jazz. Christian Watson or Aaron Jones? I'd feel more comfortable playing Christian Watson. Dart, Herbo, or Goff? I'd rather play Dart. Drop 1, start 1. I'm dropping Herbo and I'm just starting Dart. Also, Sutton or Terry? I'd rather play Terry McLaurin. Stranger or Likely? I'd rather play Likely. Kenneth Walker, Jalen Warren, or Monungai? I'd rather play Warren and Monungai. Aaron Jones or Tyler Warren? That's a toss-up. I'll think about that. Let's see here. Okay, let me really quickly get back to Medina's question here because I know that he had sent one in. Says, okay, yeah, so we already took care of this. Okay, yeah, cool. So if I need to drop one, it's Herbert. Again, he doesn't have a left hand. As much as he wants to use it as a weapon, it's not. Dart is your play in this case. And then, yes, I'd much rather play Terry McLaurin over Cortland Sutton. I think he has a significantly better matchup. And, of course, we've designated with Mariota in the last 3 games they've played together. It's led to a touchdown from Terry. So that's obviously incredibly promising. And then, yes, I'm always going to play the tight end against the Cincinnati Bengals when I get a chance to do so. We had a question that came in from Christopher Franco, who says, in a half PPR, Watson, Tyrone Tracy, or Deebo Samuel? I will take Tyrone Tracy in this case. Sprinkles says, hey, hope you're doing well. I am. Thank you. I'm doing a lot better. Obviously not 100% as of yet, but slowly but surely getting there. Full PPR debating on starting JMO or Michael Wilson. Who has more upside? Technically speaking, I think it's still Jameson Williams. I think there's risk here involved in both sides. I think Jameson Williams is the safer play. Does he technically have more upside? Against Houston, then yes. I think Jameson Williams is the answer. I don't know if I'll ever get to a point to where I would feel comfortable playing Michael Wilson there over JMO, unless they told me that the top 2 cornerbacks of Houston were out. Danger FC says, start Jaguars defense or Texans and Kyron or Harvey. Okay, we have a lot of questions here. First and foremost, Jaguars or Texans? I'm cool going the Jaguars there. Kyron or Harvey? I'd rather play Harvey. All right, Vori sends in a question. Says, Andrew, questions in the chat. Thank you very much, sir. Says, hey, Andrew, thanks for the content. Given the weather for the Bears and Browns game, and I have Shadur/Caleb/ Stroud as my quarterbacks, who would you recommend playing Stroud and picking up excuse me. Of your available quarterback options, so the 4, Shadur, Caleb, Stroud, and Rodgers, I feel most comfortable playing Stroud 1 and Caleb 2. So if I have an opportunity of doing so to where I play those 2 quarterbacks, that's what I would try to do. That's the order in which I would currently have them structured is like Stroud 1, Caleb 2, Rodgers 3, Shadur 4. Thank you. All right, we had a question that came in from Adam. Says, appreciate the advice. Questions in the chat. Thank you, man. Says, quarterback, we have Hurts. Halfback, we have Cook, Henderson, Etienne. Wide receiver, we have Diggs, Jameson, Wandell, Fannin, Waller at tight end. Defense is Detroit, Dallas, 49ers. Kicker is Aubrey. Who do I put in the flex? Um. Okay, so so this is the way that I would go about this, right? So obviously I'm playing Jalen Hurts at quarterback. I'm playing ETN and Cook as my RBs. I'm playing probably if it's a full PPR, I'd probably go Jameson Williams and Wan'Dale Robinson there. And then I have Fanning at tight end. And then I have 49ers as my defense. And then it's between Henderson and Diggs. That's the direction I go in for my flex. To which at that point, genuinely, I probably play Diggs in a full PPR, Henderson in a half or standard. Thank you. Moving on to a question that comes in from Ray Barrera. Ray, thank you. Says full PPR flex 1. Hendo, Tet, Devin Neal, or Cortland Sutton. Of the available, my highest ranked of the group probably ends up being Tetaroa. Honestly, let me check here. Tetaroa. What is the scoring format? No, it's full PPR. It's probably close. It probably ends up being Henderson. Like the way that I have it, it's still Henderson from earlier this week, so I'll probably still lean in that direction. Like in a full PPR, I have him 3 spots ahead of Tetaroa. I don't think I'm going to change it. I think I just keep it as Henderson right now. So yeah, Hendo will be my answer there, Ray. Swag Kid 9046 says McPherson or Andy Borregales. I'd rather have Borregales at this point. I'm cool in going that direction. Evans or Godwin rest season? Evans. Thank you. All right, y'all. I think that's what we're going to call it. Again, I appreciate y'all coming through, supporting the channel. Of course, clicking the like button with your viewership by sending in those super chats. I'll be back tomorrow morning again. Again, I just want to go ahead and rest my voice so that I have the ability to go for 3 hours tomorrow. Again, I'm feeling better, but obviously still got to take care of myself so that not only can I be healthy for tomorrow's stream, but for all of next week so that I can live stream Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, etc. I do appreciate y'all again. This has been quite a while since we've live streamed here, so I'm glad I was able to do so, answer your guys' questions. But that's where we're going to call it. Again, tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. PST, I'll be back live streaming here on the channel. Hope to see you guys then. We'll have updated rankings. If you guys want all-inclusive rankings outside of course, the live stream tomorrow, you can find it, of course, via Betr by signing up today using code Andrew. Or, of course, you can go ahead and check out the Patreon link down in the description. But that's it. We're queuing the double helix. Have a great rest of your Saturday night, everybody. And until tomorrow, I'll see you guys. Peace. Okay, I did see the fantasy forecast that sent in a question. Hopefully you're still there, fantasy. It says Henderson, Chuba, or Likely in a PPR. That's a tough one, genuinely. The issue is, well, actually, no, I don't think that's tough. I think it has to be Henderson. In this case, with the Chuba / Rico toss-up that's going to be, I mean, shoot, maybe both of them are relevant, but with the toss-up that's going to be, I think between Likely and Hendo, I'd rather play Henderson in this case. Pretty comfortably, in fact. All right, hopefully you were able to hear that. Otherwise, I will mention it once again tomorrow morning at the beginning of the stream. Appreciate it. Have a great night, guys. Peace.